Citi hit the nadir of its fortunes in the early spring of 2009. Do memories of that time still influence client behaviour now?
No, it doesn't. I think people are very comfortable with Citi, obviously having seen the changes since Vikram Pandit took over, and having seen the institution become far more competitive, being on the front foot from a capital markets perspective particularly. I think people are far more comfortable with Citi than they were in early 2009 when we encountered some volatility with counterparty reflections, one would say. So now we're in a very strong position. I think particularly with some of the volatility in the Eurozone with the European banks, which came into the market and took a very strong position post-2008, we're now seeing a swing back from the European institutions into Citigroup as a prime broker counterparty, because people are feeling far more comfortable about Citi as an institution.
What has changed within the Citi Prime Brokerage Group in terms of the people, technology, balance sheet, geographical reach and their products over the last 2 years?
Well, we're a young prime broker in a relative sense. So we've only really been a global prime finance house in the last 3 years. So a lot of changes have happened in the last 2 years. We're now at this point very, very competitive, and we would put our product against any of the top 3 prime brokers that are out there. And so when you look across the people that we've hired in the last 2 years, you look across the technology that we've implemented, you look at the group in its entirety and how we're instigating the involvement and the inclusion of futures and the OTC products within the prime finance business, and obviously the inclusion of the Delta One platform into the business as well. We have this very unique space, and now obviously from a Citigroup perspective, not only do we have the very, very strong geographical footprint that Citi has always had, but that's coupled with a very, very strong prime finance futures OTC clearing product that I would put against any institution in the market.
What sort of accounts and balances are you winning now compared with 4 years ago?
Well, 4 years ago we were still a very young organisation from a prime finance perspective. We weren't global as a product. In fact, our Asia platform didn't exist at that point, and our European platform had only been in existence for a year. So we were very, very highly concentrated in the US, particularly around the equity long-short space, where we had an axe from a securities lending perspective. So it was very securities lending driven from a US perspective. Whereas now, we have a multi-strategy portfolio of clients. We have emerging market strategies with macro, fixed income, solely, equity long short. So we have a very well diversified portfolio of clients. And I think the changes that clients have seen in Citi's attitude over the last 3 years have really directed that, because they've seen the strength not only of the fixed income and the equity platforms at Citi, but the capital markets and investment bank strength really coming to a fore in the last 3 years. So we've seen a wide, diversified, new client reach, one would say, for Citigroup, and we're feeling very confident about it. Well, I think we can be very helpful. We have balance sheet. We have a very robust, a very experienced team of people, obviously on the ground from a prime finance perspective. And we really are, we're solution driven. We're still at that stage now where we're relatively small from a prime brokerage perspective. I guess we rank 7th or 8th globally in terms of revenue. But we're relatively small, so we can still be proactive and reactive to client needs. So we can still be very much solution driven. There isn't a conveyor belt or a factory approach to how we deal with client requests or how we deal with how we service our clients. So we can still tailor solutions for clients, and that's where we've made a difference, particularly with some of the larger clients in the US and in Europe, where we've been able to put together a solution package for clients' needs or problems to be able to solve for those, and therefore it's led to a much wider, much larger piece of business, obviously, from those institutions and hedge funds that we've actually helped.